right, I guess.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, roll.
My name is Kayla Ireland. Welcome to the Inside Scoop of Living with CP, an extension of the Silver Speech Speaking series. This is a talk show about spreading awareness about this common disability. Today on our show, we would like to introduce Sharon Draper, a New York Times best-selling author and educator, who has 2 books about CP, Out of My Mind and Out of My Heart. We are grateful to have you here to discuss your literature, how it relates to us personally, and questions regarding your ideas, interactions, and experiences as a mom with a child with CP. Several years ago, my dear friend, Amy Smith, reached out to you and was able to surprise me with a signed copy of Out of My Mind. It's my favorite book. I enjoyed it as the character Melody reminded me so much of myself. I had to reach out and invite you to our show for our segue into National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month.
I'm so happy for everyone who's here today. We're so excited. So thank you so much. And Kayla continues to have lots to say about your book. I finished your first one. I'm halfway through the second one. So.
And I've just started one and haven't started the other, but I will.
Nobody's counting. It's okay.
Let's talk about the opening. I'm surrounded by thousands of words, maybe millions. I completely agree, as I am considered nonverbal. However, it doesn't imply our intelligence.
Yeah, that's a problem, because people assume the world in general when they see people with various disabling conditions, and I don't really like the word disabling, but when they see us, they say, oh, look at that person who is disabled, and they don't even consider that there might be language or vocabulary or intelligence or sharp wit or anything, and we are all of those. And so by writing this book, I try to open it up to everybody. I get zillions and zillions and zillions of responses from kids who read the book, 4th grade, 5th grade. Oh, I never thought about it that way. Oh, really? And so it's kind of opened up a whole new world for a lot of people who you don't know unless somebody tells you. And the best way to tell somebody, I think, is to tell a story. So that's what I did.
It was very useful
Not
to
the
me.
ability.
Oh, sorry. What, Katrina?
I said people always focus on the disability.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a speech language pathologist, Kayla, I had the opportunity to treat Kayla in school when she was 3. She was one of my first clients, and we've kept in touch over the years via Facebook and through her parents. And I had gotten her when she didn't have a device, and then I was able to order a device, and to see how much that technology has changed for her, so that she can show us her intelligence through, her writing and through her speaking. And it's just been such a eye-opener into the tech world, but also just how much she knows, and just being able to have a conversation with her, where before the device that I had for her was like, it would freeze, it would break, we'd get frustrated. So it's just it's amazing to read your book and see the similarities between her and Melody.
Technology has come a long way, and I think it's going to take someone like you, Kayla, someone who understands, to create the next generation of technology. You know, when we see those movies on television where people have devices implanted in their brains and those kinds of things, it's not impossible. And communication is going to be greatly improved in the next 10 years or 20 years. And I have a feeling you're going to be one of those people doing that.
Agree.
Me too. I think too.
I mean, we make jokes about the first, first computer that she had, that we had gotten her, or we ordered her. And then we're also laughing because it's, I used to get so frustrated that the video games were so technologically advanced just for kids to be, playing. And I'm like, why can't this device be ahead of its time too? So you're right. Kayla's going to be the next, the inventor, and give us the ideas for how to make it better. So
yeah, I agree.
I would love to discuss inclusion regarding the teachers. I love the diversity of the student population and the reality of special needs in H5. I love Mrs. V's energy, enthusiasm, and ability to navigate and problem solve on how to make Melody as independent as she wanted to be.
Yeah. Let me say, am I on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me say a couple of things about H5. When you're writing a book for the general population that knows nothing at all about people with different conditions, you have to start, you're creating a slate and you're teaching as you're writing. So I'm aware that fourth graders who read this book have no idea that, that there are people in wheelchairs who have brains that are just exploding with knowledge and information and things to say. And so I'm writing for fourth and fifth and sixth graders to start with that group, so they go, oh, I didn't know. Back when I was able to go to schools and visit in person, back in the good old days when we could have had this meeting at a cafe someplace. I would, talk to young people, and I would show them and explain to them, and I would give them assignments where they had to create a talking board, and I told them you could put anything they wanted on it. I don't care. You can put any square you want. Here's your squares, and you can put anything you want on there. And then they would come back the next day and say, okay, now you can only say what's on your board. So if you forgot, I have to go to the bathroom, too bad. You can only say what you remembered to put on your board, and which let them see the vastness of communication and language and the limitations that's placed on people who have to put what they have to say in little squares. Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that Mr. D's exclusion and rudeness was evident, but I understand the lack of awareness and education of knowing CP.
You have to include bad characters and uninformed characters in order to teach as you write without letting people know that you're teaching them as they're reading the story. They just think they're reading a story. They don't know they're being taught. I was a teacher from way back, so that's how I was able to include that.
Wow, that's really good information. I'm actually writing a children's book right now, and I'll tell you more off the record, but that was really, really an amazing, advice.
Let me add one more thing. Point of view is the thing you have to focus on for the children's book. Is you have to be in the mind and body of the child that is your main character. You have to think and be that person so that when Kayla reads it, she says, yeah, this is the way it is. And you have to get in so that you can put it out. So good luck.
Thank you so much. Kayla and Katrina, I have a question for you. Anytime during your growing up, were there specific comments that were hurtful to you, via the teacher or made you feel less incapable? Any examples of that?
Overall, the teachers were great. When I was 10 and I had that series of surgeries, and I was ready to go back to school after spending the entire summer in the hospital, the school system didn't want me to come back because I was in a wheelchair. And so my mom fought. The city of Bristol actually called the mayor, and they actually ended up letting me in. But I still have the newspaper article. It was in the newspaper and everything that they just lack of knowledge. They thought, it's not handicap accessible. My mom said, well, I'll provide 2 wheelchairs. We'll have one downstairs, one upstairs. And they ended up making the accommodation. But then just one kid in middle school was really mean. He used to sing, because my mom's name is Mary. He used to sing Mary Had a Limping Lamb. Like, he was really mean. He used to trip me and stuff. But that's the only person. All the other kids were nice. I had a good group of friends. Well, you were my friend since elementary school.
Yeah, we've been friends since elementary. Yeah.
So that was it. Overall, everybody's been good. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that people are because they came out with World CP Day and CP Awareness Month, people are starting to realize what CP is.
Yeah.
I think the world is a lot more open to accepting differences today than they were even 10 years ago when the first book came out. There's a lot more acceptance and knowledge and open-mindedness. When I was teaching, the kids in wheelchairs would have been in an H5 classroom because they didn't know what else to do with them, and it didn't matter which. It didn't matter what disability you had, everybody went into H5. I'm just using that as an example. It took a long time, and it was parents and advocates and supporters who made those changes in those laws and made those kids be able to go, like Melody's mother, who said, oh no, you are going to take her in this school. And there were mothers like that who changed the world, basically, the families of these kids that had every right to be included. And so laws were eventually passed because of those moms.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, we grew up in the 80s, so it was still, very secluded. I felt like that, there was the rooms, the different rooms. And then, I loved how bringing Kayla and Katrina together, the generation difference and how much has changed since then. But Kayla, any situations that you had?
I don't remember a specific time, but I hate when people steal the handicap spot. cut in front of me, or think that the ADA is perfect because it's not.
It's very true. That is very true.
Have any of you ever seen the movie Crip Camp?
No.
No.
It's old. It came out a long time ago, but it talks about the beginnings of civil rights and civil liberties for people with disabilities. It started from a camp that they used to have for kids with disabilities, and the kids called it Crip Camp. And it wasn't like it was a negative thing. That's what they called their camp, and they had a real strong, real loving situation, and it was unique. This camp, it's a real camp, and the kids in this camp grew up to be the advocates to eventually pass the laws, the very first laws for like accessibility on stairs and being able to get up and down flights of stairs, being able to go inside of buildings, not being allowed to go into a restaurant, that kind of thing. So if you get a chance, it's on Netflix. It's ancient, was made a long time ago, but it's a good movie because it's true, and it talks about how the law that everybody accepts now, like, oh, well, we've got this law, so we have to have steps and we have to have ramps. The kids at Crip Camp were the kids that started the beginnings of that law. So look it up. I'm giving you all homework now.
Thank you so much.
It's old and it's dated, but it gets the point across.
It's good information.
Okay, let's talk about the students. The students' reactions to the para and her communication device were disappointing.
Why?
I mean, we talked a little bit last night about that. Just I think that, we were talking about like the jealous, just regular, normal feelings of a child that age, feeling jealous, feeling left out, or afraid that somebody's going to take their spot or going to be smarter than them. Or so, we talked a lot about that. And I had asked Kayla to, give us an instance of when she was underestimated, or she wasn't heard, or she was undermined. So Kayla, can you tell us that one instance?
One time before college, I couldn't get in with Dr. Ward, my primary pediatrician. I had to see one of the other doctors less familiar with my history. He was rude, said my ears looked fine, and she can't explain herself. I had an earache. I left there crying because of his actions and my pain. He finally looked at my chart and saw that I had TMJ. He recommended that I go see my dentist, and yes, it ended up being a TMJ flare.
So we talked about, the different, adults or children that they might have experienced. Katrina, have you experienced any of that?
With doctors?
Well, anybody, children who were jealous of your attention, or even your siblings.
My siblings, I don't want to say crazy, but they are crazy. They've been like my biggest advocates. But nothing gets past them. So, and when I went for my license almost a year ago, almost a year ago. They didn't want me to. They were so used to carting me around for so long that they were like, oh, you shouldn't do it. You should. Even my own mom was like, no, I don't think you should. I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. But I just did it anyway. But overall, no, the only problem I have found, like I had no care from the time I was 18 to the time I was like 40, because I found that once I was 18, there was nobody that specialized in adults, nobody familiar. And even as a primary care doctor, I haven't had a hard time finding them because they're just not educated. And you tell them you have CP and they think you have some type of disease that you're contagious and they're scared of it. So that's the only thing I've run into.
That's huge, though. That's huge. Not being able to get access to, the things that everybody else can just do with a phone call.
So I ended up finding Weinberg Cerebral Palsy Center in New York City, but the doctor ended up leaving and he's now at HSS. So I actually followed him. But it was like 20 years I hadn't had any treatment. And then I started having problems with my hip, and the orthopedic doctors here, they're like, oh no, you're too complicated. And so another doctor ended up finding them for me, but it's been a struggle with that, because there's like 25 doctors in the US that specialize, and 23 of them are pediatric.
Yeah.
One of them's retired and moved to China, and then the other one is at HSS. Yeah. So I'm thankful for him. I actually saw him today. He's great. His whole career has been based on cerebral palsy. That's all he does.
Wow. That's a blessing.
He's actually going to be on one of our shows, Sharon.
Oh, really?
He is.
Send me the link. If I'm available, I'll click on.
Yeah, he actually agreed to do it because he loves what he does. That's why he does it. So
that's good.
Sharon, was Melody based on your experience with with a daughter or with a child that you worked with?
Yes and no. I have a child with a disability, but not the same as Melody. So what I did was the part about the parents and the frustrations of the parents and the difficulties and the getting, out to school and getting clothes on, is more from my point of view. The character I made fictional because I wanted it to be, she had to be fictional. She couldn't be based on anybody I knew. The parents, I didn't care, basing on, because parents can understand what it's like to get a child of, whatever condition. So Melody is 100% fictional, but I know enough about the world of kids with disabilities to create the fiction. So you've got to know enough reality in order to create fiction. And if you do it well, then people think it's real. I can't tell you how many letters I've received. Oh, please tell your daughter I said hello. Okay. So I must have done a good job.
Well, you certainly did, because I was convinced. It was brilliant. So also, I loved the painting you pictured of like being left out, like not being called about an earlier flight to DC, or, just so many instances. Katrina and Kayla, tell me your experiences when you were left out or felt left out and wanted to participate.
I don't recall any that I was ever left out, because my mom always, and I'm thankful for it, because I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. My mom never allowed me to be disabled. I'm one of 7 girls. So there was really no time for that. It was like if my sisters did dance, she found a dance studio to take me, so
Cool.
I was never allowed to be disabled, really.
I mean, you were blowing me away on the ski slope. Like, she was skiing. We used to go skiing together. And I was like, yeah, this is all able-bodied. So amazing. How about you, Kayla?
The yearbook doesn't pay attention to if every member is in at least one picture of each extracurricular activity we are involved in, like track or drama.
Yeah.
I couldn't do all of them. The book would be too long if I had included, all the activities. You have to kind of focus on something. So
Wait. Oh, sorry.
I wanted to focus on her brains. So that's why I made the quiz kids and that kind of thing. So I was focusing on, there's so many things that I had to leave out of that book. It was like 500 pages long and I have to keep cutting it has to focus. And when you write a book, you send it in and then you send it into your editor. It's like sending into your teacher in 5th grade, and my editor says, nope, you got to cut this. No, this whole section's got to go. No, how about can you expand on this part? And so she is so hard on me, so very hard on me. And the book took almost a year of just edits. That's just corrections, changes, deletions, improvements. I didn't talk about that. Let's add a page like this. So it went through a whole lot of changes.
That's good to know. As I'm doing the same. Kayla, I think were you let me clarify, were you talking about your school and that your yearbook never included you in track in the picture?
Really? Oh my.
That's terrible. Because you did it, right? We saw the videos of it.
Depending. Some, but not all.
Okay, so you got into some, but that's, it's a good example. I really felt for the character when, her pain and her being upset that she, and she was a huge part of that team. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, this is heartbreaking and devastating. And just, I love how you brought together every single one of that family, their feelings towards all of the activities, like whether it was trivia or camp, like you felt their feelings in each character, which I thought was powerful.
Took a long time to do that. It's, when you read a book on the first go around, it says, oh, look how easily she did that. It was hard. It was hard. You remember when you were in school and you had the teacher that kept telling you to revise a paper? That's what my editor is like. And she's very, very hard on me. But because of her, the books are good. She makes me continue to do it over, just like, you have to do, like, if you want to go skiing or something. I can't imagine the number of times you fell down. I've never been skiing because I would fall down. And if I fell down one time, it's like, I'm not doing this again. It's cold and snow, and I'm going and go get some hot chocolate. So the fact that you did that is just amazing. I'm so impressed.
How long did it take you to write the first book?
Year and a half, maybe. And then another 6 to 8 months of revisions. That means do it again, do it again, do it again. My editor is a perfectionist, and so if it's not right, she's not going to put it out there.
Right.
And so I'm glad that she made me struggle, because she made the book worth reading. And because I had to be true to Kayla. It's like there's people like Kayla who are reading this book, and I have to make sure it's honest and true, and that I didn't make it something that could never happen or would never happen. Which is why in the second book I gave her a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't get to that part yet. Okay, Kayla, keep it going.
I love how Paul treated Melody, making sure that she could reach the buttons to participate in the trivia. Early on, my device was always reliable, but technology is much better, allowing me to pause, write what I want to write. It's quicker.
Yes. And in 10 years, the technology will be even better. And I have a feeling you are going to be in that group of people who make the technology better. Because who better than you to tell them what you need and how to make it work? Because look at the things that, there are 3-year-olds that are on YouTube, and if they can make YouTube workable for a 3-year-old, they can certainly make the rest of the world news and information and content available for people who it takes a little bit longer to push the buttons.
Yeah, that was Steve Jobs' goal, was for a child to be able to use the device. I think it was 3 or 6. I can't remember his age, but it was accurate for sure.
Yeah.
How Melody looked forward to sitting with Rose so much every single Wednesday. She couldn't sleep Tuesday night. It reminds me of the feeling I get when I have company.
Yeah, you're a social being for sure. You're everywhere. You always have something going on, which is amazing.
And friendship is so important for young people. And that's why in the second book, I focused on friendship, because I was determined that Melody was going to have real friends, because the kids in age 5 were okay to her, but they weren't her real friends. In the second book, she gets real friends.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, to read that. Yeah, Kayla, I feel like, all 3 of us now, we've now developed this relationship and this friendship. And I joke with Kayla, because I'm like, Kayla, you're my friend, you're my editor, you're my, she's doing all my work for me. She'll call me out on my stuff. She's like, you're missing a period. You have too many, and it's so great. But, I am just so grateful that we have she was my student, and now she's a dear friend of mine, So we're enjoying this so much.
That's wonderful. How much more time do we have? Because I was going to read something to you.
Let's see. We have It's up to you, whatever time you have.
Okay, I didn't know if Zoom cuts you off at a certain point or.
No.
No, we have
Oh.
whatever time.
Oh, okay. All right. Kayla, do you have any other questions that you want to ask me? I'd hate for this to end and you not get to ask the question that you were dying to know.
No.
You can keep going. And then, how long is the reading, or what would you want to?
No, I was just going to read something. I have nothing planned. Just
No,
Okay.
we're
if I want to
fine.
read something, I will.
All right. Well, we're excited about it.
So did you want me to do that?
Yeah, we can do that now.
Okay. Did you have any other questions about the book or any other comments you wanted to make, Kayla?
Where do you live, Sharon? Where do you live?
I live in Florida.
Oh, nice.
I used to live in Ohio, though, so I know winter.
Ugh. We're getting a big storm tomorrow night.
I know.
Oh, we are.
5 to 7 inches.
Aye.
Ugh.
Oh, well, I might go to the beach. That's mean.
I'll see you there.
What part of Florida are you in?
By close to Daytona.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Were you getting a question, Kayla?
So many conversations.
Yeah. This is wonderful.
Marcy and I had to wait.
So, so she sent me a huge document of all of the things she wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
And so last night we went through it, and I, was organizing it, cutting and pasting. So it was really fun because we were having a great time. And it was funny because one of the, Kayla, do you have that? Which part was that? Oh yeah, so we were talking about communication and just how you can why don't you mention that part, the communication part?
I relate to when Melody's mom and Mrs. V took lots of time typing in camp conversations, and when Melody explains, sometimes we talk without words. I point to the ceiling, and she somehow just knows whether I'm talking about the ceiling fan, the moon, or the dark spot where the rain leaked through during the last thunderstorm. This was me and Marcy last night before this interview, or when my mom wakes up knowing I need my hair up and coffee.
Yeah, so we were just cracking up because it's like her and I, we're talking to each other and we're going off of each other, but it's like it's just that was such a beautiful moment. And I find, as a speech language pathologist, I'm constantly predicting the feelings that are happening, and they might not be correct, but at least I'm navigating, and then my clients can say, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
And it gets them communicating and reading their body and things like that. So that was just such an amazing moment in your
But I'm so glad that Kayla has you so that you can, so that she can have somebody to have a conversation with, somebody to laugh with, somebody to joke and make fun of, and say your hair looks funny today. That's what friends do.
Yeah, and she's yelling at me all the time.
Yeah. Kayla and I connected about a year ago when Marcy started this, and we both have the same type of cerebral palsy, just the severity is different. So we've learned that each person is different. They could have the same type, but it affects them differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always thinking about, when you watch things like Star Trek and, and somebody gets hurt on a starship and they put them in the machine, they go, and then they get up and they're okay. And it's like, I'm thinking that maybe in the future, somebody like Kayla will invent that machine that can go, and I know it can be done. It's just, we need somebody, let's see, with a brilliant mind, and a desire, I think I may have found the candidate for the person to make this magic happen,
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of research out there for dysarthric patients, so, and also, using computers to use different voices, match the voice with the person. So there's just so much going on. So I think it's going to be, the future is now and near, and female is future and present.
Yes.
So
yeah, because
present and future.
Yeah, I think Melody's first talking device, she said it sounded like a Swedish man with a head cold,
No, it's like, I remember her machine too. We were like, should we have her, my voice, but that's not her voice.
Yeah.
And then it's somebody else's voice to match. Yeah. So the voices have, still have to come along, but they're doing the research because I worked with a scientist who is doing that. So I know, which that's a whole other episode, right?
Yeah.
So Kay, do you want to say anything for your closing comments?
Thank you for doing this segment with us. It was great to have you on. You literally wrote my story. I can't wait to see when they make this into a movie.
Oh, it might be. I did get a phone call from someone who was interested in making it into a movie.
There's main character, Kayla, right there.
The first phone call and the actual happening could be years away. I don't know how that works. But I did get the phone call and somebody is at least interested. And what if I say, okay, I just sign a piece of paper and people in Hollywood do that. I have no control over that. I don't know how to make a movie or even how to write a movie script. I told them if they have a movie, they have to fly me out to California. So, but I don't know. It's a good one.
That's amazing.
It will be sometime out, but it's not impossible. So because I got the phone call, it's not impossible, but nothing is happening yet.
No. I know because online.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I hope that one day, who knows, you know, wouldn't it be cool if you and I could go to California together?
That'd be real cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have any control over that side of it. You write the story and they do what they want. I don't know. I have no power over that. I just hope they do it justice if they do it.
Yeah.
But it's something for us to look forward to.
The book is always better than the movie, but we like to see how people interpret our writing, right? So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I was sad about Speechless discontinued.
Oh, that TV show. Yes, that was excellent. You were mad. Yeah. They, everything is done by ratings. And if they don't get the ratings, that means they're not getting the money, which means they stop the show. But we need more shows like that, not less. Yes.
Yeah, and there's more out there now, I think, for sure. But it's a long way to go, I would say.
Yeah. But they try to make them comedies, because you have a disability, that somehow makes it a comedy, and it has to be funny, and and you make wheelchair jokes. I don't like those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
An honest movie about someone with a real disability, if they made a movie of it, I would like them to choose a person who really had CP be the main character, not, oh, somebody who might be interested.
She's already had a TV appearance
I'm sure.
on the news, so
yeah,
she's ready. Sign her up.
I have no control over that. I just told them that I think, I would rather them have a person who really did have a disability than somebody who was able-bodied and faking it. That would insult me and insult you.
Yeah, I find, we've been doing these segments, this speaking series, and it's just our first one we did, it was just raw, off the cuff, and even this is really, right? No practice, and it's so authentic and it's so real, and the pausing and the mistakes, or changing your thought process, that's life, that's the reality, right? So we have, I when we first filmed it, I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna put it up there, because that is what communication is about. Mm-hmm. Repairing, listening, commenting, changing.
Right.
So,
because that's reality, and that is what life is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Can't our everyday realities.
Exactly.
Definitely. So yeah, we would love for you to close with a reading, if you
would. Okay. Have you read this one yet?
That one just started, but you could read it.
Okay, so I won't go. Okay. So I won't go very deep with
Price
it.
to access the second book on Bookshare since it just came out in November.
Okay.
How do you submit your writing to them?
I didn't hear the second part. How do I?
Submit your writing to them.
What's the price to
Oh, to the book company.
To the Bookshare.
I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that.
I don't know. Bookshare is only for individuals who have a qualifying reading or perceptual disability, a visual impairment, or physical disability that affects their ability to read printed works.
Okay.
How did you hear about Bookshare?
Because I deal with kids with disabilities, I've heard about it, but I'm not a member. If you can get me in, let me know. I'd be delighted.
You will too.
Yeah, I would be delighted to be part of it. Okay, I'm going to read just a little short section from the sequel to Out of My Mind, which is called Out of My Heart. It took me 10 years to write the sequel, but it happens just a couple of months later, because Out of My Mind ends at the end of the school year. And this is the beginning of summer vacation that same school year. So even though many years have passed, it's just a couple of months has passed in the story. So it's summer vacation, and all of her friends, well, not friends, but Molly and Claire, I had to include them because they were the most popular characters because they were so horrible. And the section where Molly and Claire, the teacher takes the chair away from them and makes them stand up in the classroom. I actually saw a teacher do that with two bad kids in a classroom one day. And I said, "You are good. I'm putting you in a book." So I wrote her later and said, "I put you in that chapter about Molly and Claire," but that's not the one I'm going to read now. And I'm going to read from the new one called Out of My Heart. School is out. All of her friends have gone to camp. Molly and Claire have gone to mermaid camp, and they all get to pretend to be mermaids. And if you are, and they walk around, well, they don't walk around, they roll around. They've got mermaid tails on, so they can't walk. So they ride around this camp in mermaid chariots with these fake tails on to pretend to be mermaids. And Melody's going, duh, they're rolling around in wheelchairs and they think there's something special because they are rolling around. They think there's something special because they're going to mermaid camp, but duh, they are in wheelchairs. So she forgets about Molly and Claire and says, "I want to go to camp. I want to go someplace for me." And so for the very first time, it takes her a while to find the camp and talk her parents into letting her go. But she gets to go to a camp where her mom's not going to be there, her dad's not going to be there, her little sister's not going to be there, the dog's not going to be there. By the way, I love golden retrievers. There's a golden retriever in every story, and I've got a golden retriever. Just thought I'd tell you that. Anyway, so I'm going to read you the section where she's thinking about camp. Not many kids pay attention to the girl trying to get through the halls in her electric wheelchair. They rush past me, their backpacks whomping right into me as they call out to their friends. They check their phones, they hurry through the crowds. It's almost like they don't even see me. It's strange. So many kids surround me, and yet I'm usually alone. That's why I love being at Mrs. V's. She always sees me. But it's also why I want to go to camp. I bet if I went to camp with kids like me, well, I wonder how different that would feel. Every single day since I was born, somebody has fed me and bathed me and read to me and helped me do every single detail of my life. So when do I get to do things for me? When do I get to be me? So that's what I'm thinking, that maybe at camp, maybe I can find, and I can just be Melody for a few days. That would be amazing. So they find the camp and they get this, and she does all the online searching and she figures it out. And so she says, so she goes to her mother, she tells her mother about it. Can I go? It took me a minute to do this. Tapping out words is harder for me than you might think. My right thumb, which I depend on most of the time, sometimes gets the wiggles. Mom told me to hold on. She was still reading. I rolled my eyes. I would have rolled my eyes if I could have. Mrs. B said, ooh, there's boating and hiking and swimming and campfires and ooh, zip lining. Mom said, oh, they can't be serious. That might be dangerous. Dangerous. Oh my goodness. I have never in my life been given the chance to even think of doing something dangerous. I've got to go to this camp. And so she asked her parents, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? And they do the research and they talk about, they end that chapter talking about, and you get to go horseback riding. And she's going, oh dear, horses are pretty big. Have you been on a horse before? Okay. It's cool. It is so awesome. So anyway, she gets to the camp, and I'm going to read just one more little tiny section. About there's a whole lot of sections in the story about fire. And because I think fire is a real strong image, it's red and flashing and orange and hot and magical. And so there's a lot of scenes in the book around the fire. So the very first time they sit around the fire at camp, now she's out there with her friends. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm with friends, and it's dark and it's nighttime and it's past bedtime, and she's sitting outside with a bunch of friends. With crackles and pops, suddenly the flicker became a flame, and the flame found fuel in the woods and the sticks. Orange and red and yellow began dancing around each other, changing, merging, and becoming. It was becoming pretty. It was a little strange. The evening was cool, but the flames were hot and bright, decorating the night. And then she goes and she describes the fire. And then she looks up and she sees the darkness of the sky and the stars in the sky. And it's like, oh man, this is awesome. So she's sitting around the campfire, singing songs, hanging with her friends, away from her family, and having a wonderful time. So out of my heart, Melody makes friends. And that was real important for me, to make sure that I gave her friends and a really powerful, positive experience.
I replay in my head the amount of preparation it takes to leave home.
Yes.
You clearly described that reality.
Yes, it was very, very, it was, yeah. I used to be a counselor. When I was 16, I was a camp counselor at a camp for kids in wheelchairs. And that was when I learned that when you're pushing a kid in a wheelchair down a hill, you don't go kid first, you go backwards. And you go backwards down the hill in case the kid doesn't have their belt on, and go bloop, bloop, bloop when they go out. So that was the start of the idea for the camp. And the rest, I did lots and lots and lots and lots of research. I visited a couple of camps, and the rest I just made up.
Wow. That was, you pretty much read our minds and our energy, because we talked about that last night. We even put that in our outline, that entire part in the beginning that you read. We had that written down. She had that written down. So it is so beautiful that the second is about friends. And as a speech therapist, I get a lot of calls about socialization, and I want my kid to have friends, and I want play dates. And I always say to them, because I work with a variety of disabilities, And I always say, how many friends do you have? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, we need to start with one friend.
One.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
we have 10 fingers on our hands.
Yeah.
And that's, quality, not quantity. And, it's just, we need one really good friend. And that's what I love about your story. The story is that, and also we, as people, we congregate to people who are similar to us and that we can relate to. And so, inclusion, whatever we want to call it, we still need that friend that is of the same, similar, to help us through and to communicate our needs, our wants, our disabilities, our abilities, whatever it is, to feel, to be allowed to feel and be human.
Yes.
And be human.
Yes.
So I'm so grateful that you gave us the time today.
We tease each other comparing new chairs or take the perks when I can get M.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I have enjoyed this so very much. Kayla, you can contact me anytime. You've got my direct email. Yeah, feel free to send me an email anytime. If you don't have it, we'll make sure you get it. But you feel free to contact me anytime and I will answer, because we're in the middle of a pandemic and I don't go out much.
So sick. Can't wait till it's over.
Yeah.
It's so tough.
We're all gonna get together once it's over. We've been saying that for what, a year and a half?
Yeah. We're gonna get together. But it was such a pleasure, and I'm excited to finish your book and be in touch.
Yeah.
So is your book available on Amazon?
Yes.
Because I'd like to get one for Dr. Selber.
Yeah, it's available just about any place. So
amazing.
Perfect.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time.
This has been the highlight of my day, maybe my whole week. Truly. I'm so glad I got to meet you both, all three of you.
Yeah.
And I'm available. I'm only an email away. So if you have a question, if there's something you want to talk to me about, just send me an email and I know you know how to do that.
She handles all the business.
I'm sure.
Because Marcy works full time, so Kayla does all that stuff. That's Kayla's job.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and we will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you.